Today's video is going to be a review of the Marvy Uchida Colorin markers. So I got 3 packs, and each pack was $5, and each pack got 10 markers, so that's $15 for 30 markers, or 50 cents one pen. So now look at the body of the pen. So on the body of the pen there are gold accents. On the bullet nib pen there are silver accents, and on the brush nib there is also a solid color end of the end of the marker, and on the bullet nib there is a clear end of the marker. These have a brush nib, and the cap fits on the other side of the marker, which is so nice. These have a pretty skinny body, and these are kind of small, so if you don't like this kind of size, I guess you wouldn't like these. But then again, these are still pretty convenient and they fit almost. So the first thing we're going to test is calligraphy. There will also be an art test later on, so if you are interested in only the art test, there will be timestamps in the description. But pretty much I am first trying out the technique where you blend markers by just kind of tapping the markers together and then putting the dark ink onto the lighter ink. That way you kind of get the blend inside of the marker, and I think this technique worked really well with these pens. So if you like that technique, then you will definitely like these pens, because it definitely works with these pens. And these are also just really bouncy so far, and I think that for just general calligraphy, these are really nice. And as you'll see, I just kind of took the excess dark blue ink off on the side. Okay, so now I'm going to try blending in the way where you write what you have to write first. In this case, I'm writing wave, and then you add the color on the top or the bottom, and you use the first color to kind of blend them together. So I'm writing it with this light blue color, and then I'm coloring it with this kind of like periwinkle color on the bottom, and using the light blue color to kind of just like blend it all together and smoothen the line. And I think that these actually blended really nicely together. I think that these are water-based markers, but these are actually really good for blending. And 50 cents a marker, so far these pens are doing really good. So if you want to do your blending like this, where you just kind of put marker ink on the top or the bottom and then blend it out, then these are definitely a good option for you. So the third technique for today is this technique where you put ink on a plastic bag or a plate or whatever and use a water brush to do the lettering. So I think I really liked it because, first of all, the ink came out pretty solid on the plastic bag rather than like really like watery. It came pretty solid, and I also liked it because it looked really pretty. Like the colors came out really strong with the water brush. So I took color from the turquoise color, the dark blue color, and in the in-between color, and it looked really pretty. It looked like watercolor. You guys, this was so pretty. I'm sure you'll love these markers for watercolor. If you use markers for watercolor, then these are definitely really good for you, especially because they were only 50 cents. So you get calligraphy markers and you also get watercolor markers. So if you want to use it for that, honestly, then these are also a good buy for you. Also, if you're interested in the water brush I'm using, then I'll link a video in the cards in the description box below of the review of this water brush pen. It came with a pack of 36 Ohuhu Natural Aqua water brush pen that was made with real bristles, and I reviewed that last week, and it was in my stationery haul video. So a link to that will be in the description and the cards above, so make sure to watch that video after this one, because I'm sure you'll love that review as well. Okay, so for the final method that I'm using in calligraphy, I'm using this method where I kind of color my calligraphy in this first color that I like, and then I use a second color to color kind of like the first method, but instead of blending it with the first color, I'm going to blend it with a water brush. I don't really know if this is like a common method, but I thought that it'd be cool to try out because it is a method that you could use, and it did look nice. It did look like watercolor a little bit, but you can kind of see that it was like watery, kind of like it looked kind of washed out. So if you like that look, then this is pretty cool that you can do it like that. But I think that ideally it's not the best way to do it. I think the second method I did, where you put ink on and then you blend it with the first color, is better than blending it with the water brush. But nevertheless, they both worked and they both look beautiful. And honestly, just in general, these were really good at blending and watercolor. Okay, so lastly, let's see how these work for art. So for the painting, I decided to go onto Google and just kind of see what painting kind of worked. So I searched easy watercolor painting. I didn't want to do a sunset again because I did the sunset on my Ohuhu natural aqua brush markers. And if you're interested in watercolor brush markers, then you should definitely check that video out after watching this video. I'm sure you'll like it. It'll be linked in the cards in the description box below. But on Google, I searched up easy watercolor paintings, and one of the paintings was a painting of a watermelon. And I took inspiration from that, and I decided to do multiple watermelons in this one painting and draw a few eaten watermelons as well. So my thoughts are that these are very translucent and they're not opaque, so you can use them for layering. But if you want to draw like a dark background and then color over it, then these are not going to show up. They're going to be opaque. I mean, they're going to be translucent and not opaque. So just keep that in mind. I mean, I feel like that's what watercolors are supposed to be like, but if you don't like that, then you probably won't like these. These are still, you know, very vibrant, and these colors are super duper bright, but you can still make them lighter with the water brush pen. So the blending techniques I use is, the first one is I kind of colored a solid triangle and then used the pink over the solid red triangle. And like I said, these are translucent, so the pink really didn't show. So what I did instead is I just drew the triangle, and then I drew the pink, and I drew red all over on the rest of the triangle, and then I used the pink to kind of blend it and the reddish to kind of blend it. So that worked really, really well. I think that these blended, although I do think that it could have been just a tad bit better. And there was a few of them that I just don't think I blended enough, so I tried later on to go back with a water brush, and so it did work and the color was reactivated, but I think end up having some water lines because I didn't color all over the page, and that is just something that happens with watercolors because it's happened quite a few times with other watercolors, and I've been looking at other videos, and it's just kind of something that happens with watercolors in general. And also the other thing I did is I used a plastic bag like I used for calligraphy. I used a plastic bag and I put the colors on the plastic bag and used that to kind of blend the colors together, and I think that that worked really well. You can blend them with a plastic bag or just the packet that these colors come in, because you know that's also plastic, or any kind of plastic like surface, like a plate for example, would definitely work. So, and you can also kind of do something like if you have like a blue pen and you want to make a purple to blue gradient, you can put the purple on like the plastic bag, and you can use your blue brush pen and just kind of blend it, and it'll go from purple to blue and it will get blended, which is really cool. So you can definitely use blending outside of just, you know, using a water brush. You can use just the pen itself, or you can use the water brush. The water brush was also really nice, and I was able to blend the colors together and, you know, get a good in between color, and I got to blend in the pink and also the reddish color, and I think it looked really nicely. And the other technique I used is I drew a triangle, and then I didn't fill the triangle completely with with color. I just drew some blotches of red and some blotches of pink, and then I left space in between them, and I used the water brush to blend them all together, and that worked really nicely. And it was kind of like in between the bright and darkness of just using the brush pens and the bright and darkness of using the water brush, as to be expected. So I really liked how those ones turned out, and it looked really nice in my opinion, to kind of use the water brush to blend it all together. So yeah, and then at the end I just kind of drew the seeds after everything dried with my black brush pen, and I just went over it. And the black was pretty opaque, but other colors, like especially the lighter colors, are not going to be as opaque. Like if you're writing with a dark color on top of a light color, it's going to show, but if you're drawing with a light color on top of a similarly light color, or a dark color, like a light color on a dark color, it's not going to show. So, my overall thoughts. Okay, these are so good. I really like these, especially for calligraphy. These are super duper bouncy, and honestly, like, the transitions are so smooth and it's so easy to get your thick and thin strokes. And for blending, these literally worked wonders in almost every blending method. Like, they blend so nicely with each other. And for watercolors, these are super nice as well. You can definitely use these as watercolors, especially because they're so cheap that you can just buy these even if you just want to use them for watercolors. And if you buy these and you just want to use them for watercolors, you can also use them to try out other techniques or other ways of drawing or even calligraphy. So you really get a lot with these pens. Just make sure that you buy the right pen. I accidentally bought the fine tip pens, which look different, as you can see in the picture that will be showing up in the corner. And if you want to see more of these pens, I will be posting a video later on today on me coloring an Among Us character with these markers, so subscribe and hit the bell so that you know when that video comes out. I'm sure you'll like that video. I was so happy with how that character turned out. And honestly, guys, these are also really good for art. I really think that these blended so nicely with each other, and the watercolor worked really nice. And guys, the price was so good. On Amazon, I think it's going to be a little bit more expensive. However, I think they used to be around $8, and now I think they're like $11 or $10. So the price did go up a little bit, but they're still relatively cheap. And guys, these were so good. You will literally love these pens because they blend so nicely. They're so bright and vivid, and the colors match their like pen body colors. They're really nice and they're so cheap. These are definitely worth buying. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Don't forget to leave a like on this video so that more people can watch it, because trust me, leaving a like definitely helps me out a lot. And don't forget to subscribe. I make new videos on art, calligraphy, and stationery every Monday, and you don't want to miss one, so make sure you also hit that bell. And comment down below on your thoughts on this painting, or your tips and tricks for watercolor or calligraphy. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And remember to have a happy Monday. Bye-bye!